Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan Ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
It's such a wonderful joy to be back together with you all on inspiration and transformation. Let's take a moment together, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Just take a moment and, if you safely can, close your eyes. If you are driving or walking or doing anything else where you can't close your eyes, don't worry. You can also keep your eyes open. But if you can close your eyes, just close them for a moment and allow our awareness, our consciousness to shift from the world around us to the world within. Allow all of the senses, the perception, to shift inwards. Allow the awareness to come to the breath. Whether your eyes are open or eyes are closed, bring the awareness to the breath. And just allow your awareness and consciousness to merge into your breath as it flows in and flows out. If thoughts come, or sights or sounds, don't worry. Don't try to fight them off or berate yourself. Just allow them to blow across your consciousness, like clouds across a blue sky on a windy day. Keep the awareness on the breath. And as you exhale, with each exhalation, allow yourself to really let go. Let go of whatever you're holding on to energetically in this moment. Whatever role, whatever mask, whatever identity, whatever personality, allow yourself to just let it go as you exhale. And sink deeply into the core of the self, the center, source. Exhaling deeper and deeper, letting go of all of the roles, all of the masks, all of the identities and personalities and histories. Breathe them out with each exhalation and allow yourself to sink deeper, deeper and deeper into that core of the being, into the true self, into that source, the source of love, of light, of peace. Deeper and deeper, freer and freer with each exhalation. In that space between the breaths, after the exhalation and before the inhalation, allow yourself just to rest for even a split moment in that core of the self, in that center. Gently, whenever you're ready, open your eyes if they've been closed. Allow yourself to come back to the world around you, but without losing that deep rest, the rest that comes from connecting with and living from that core of ourselves, the center, the source. So this week, I've had some questions come in by email, more actually than I'll be able probably to take during just this call. So we'll start with some of them and then finish the rest on our call next week. I'm going to take the ones that pertain to each other. So there were 2 questions regarding yoga. The first was about yoga in our busy lives. And there were sub-questions to that, and the questions were how to practice yoga in my busy life. From where and how do I get the motivation to practice yoga in my daily hectic life full of responsibilities? Can I practice yoga at work? How? And how does one transform yoga into actions or yoga off the mat? So I loved this question or group of questions because here in Rishikesh at Parmarth Niketan, where I'm speaking to you from the holy banks of the Mother Ganga, we have so many programs and classes and courses in yoga throughout the year. And one of the things that we emphasize over and over is actually who you are, not just what you do. In the West, sadly, we have started thinking of yoga as just a series of exercises. It might be like the new aerobics or the new fitness. We'll come back after the commercial break.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Coming back to inspiration and transformation. We're speaking about yoga in busy lives. How to bring yoga into our busy life. As I was saying just before the commercial break, yoga is who you are, not just what you do. The word yoga literally means union. And it's not just a union of our heads to our knees or a union of our fingers to the ground, but it's actually the union within the self, body, mind, spirit, breath. The union of us to all of creation, and at its highest level, a union of us to the divine. By any name, any form, it doesn't matter what our religion or our culture or our language or our country may be, but a union with that divine, the divine that is both within us as well as without us. That union is yoga. And so all of that which we are doing has to be in line with union. Otherwise, it's not yoga. So when you talk about, when the questioner asked, how do I live yoga in my busy life? How do I practice yoga in my busy life? First of all, we have to make time for the physical aspects of it as well. Maintaining the health of the body is crucial. Our bodies are temples. If we are the divine lives within us. Whether we think of the divine as living within our hearts or whether as living in every cell of our being, it means our body is the home of the divine, or the body is therefore a temple or a church or a mosque or a synagogue or whatever we consider our house of worship. So we have to take care of it. We have to keep it healthy. It is through the body that we are able to sit in meditation. It is through the body that we are able to reach out our arms and embrace our loved ones. It is through the body that we are able to connect with and enjoy the creation, whether it's reaching out to pull apples from trees, whether it's watching a sunset, whether it's dancing through the grass, whether it's serving our brothers and sisters. Whatever we are doing, it's done through the body. And so the body has to be kept healthy. So just as we make time to brush our teeth, just as we make time to have food, just as we make time to bathe, just as many of us make time to go to the gym, in the same way, we have to make time to do our yoga, asanas, pranayama, all of that which keeps us healthy, strong, fit, energized, full of oxygen, in balance. And yet, whether we're able to make 15 minutes a day or 2 hours a day or somewhere in between, to practice the asanas, to practice the pranayama, to practice the seated meditation, we have all of the other hours of the day to practice the rest of yoga. Patanjali gave us 8 limbs of yoga that begin with the yamas and the niyamas, the do's and don'ts of living a yogic life. I won't go into all of them here this evening, or I would take up the whole time just talking about this. But briefly, they include such virtues as nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, non-hoarding, purity. All of these aspects, all of these virtues that inform and infuse every minute of our days. So whatever we're doing, if we're doing it without violence, if we're doing it without stealing from others, if we're doing it with truth, we're doing it with purity. And this sounds perhaps easier than it is, because non-stealing, for example, doesn't just mean that I don't mug somebody on the way to work. Non-violence doesn't just mean that I don't attack a family member or coworker. It also refers to violence in word, violence in thought. It refers to all of the judgments and criticisms that we wreak upon ourselves, that we wreak upon others. It involves the violence that we do to Mother Earth through what we eat, what we wear, what we buy, how we live. It involves stealing other people's time. If we're wasting somebody's time, we're stealing it. If we are eating non-vegetarian food, or if we are consuming things that are being made in sweatshops around the world, or that are being made from precious rainforest, we're stealing. We're stealing the land, we're stealing the resources, we're stealing the health and the lives and the freedom of those working in the sweatshops. We're stealing the trees from the indigenous people, from the animals who depend upon them. We're stealing from Mother Earth. So every one of these yamas and niyamas really gives us an opportunity to examine every minute and every moment of our lives, such that whether we're on the mat or off the mat, we're living yoga. So as we move through our families, as we move through our workplaces, we have to remember that it's not, oh, I have to rush to get to my yoga class, but can I also practice yoga here? So many of us have found ourselves in cars on the way to a yoga class, or the way to a meditation class, or the way to our place of worship. And we're late, and there's traffic, and maybe we're late because someone made us late. Perhaps the loved one sitting in the car with us, perhaps someone else. But we're furious, we're frustrated, we're stressed. We yell at the drivers of cars around us, at pedestrians who have the audacity to walk in front of our car. We yell at the passengers in our car. It's your fault I'm late. If you got dressed quicker, if you weren't so slow. And we do this because we have to get to our yoga class, or to our meditation, or to our temple or church or synagogue or gurdwara or mosque. And yet, with whom are we uniting when we unite in yoga? With whom are we connecting in meditation? To whom are we sending out loving kindness and compassion? To the creation, to the world around us, which includes every driver of every car, every pedestrian, every coworker, every family member, and it includes ourselves. So then the drive to get to yoga, to get to meditation, to get to prayers or kirtan becomes also yoga and meditation and kirtan, because we are able to unite with those around us. We're able to expand our consciousness to include those around us, not only when we're sitting on our meditation cushion, but also when we're off the cushion. And so then our workplaces, our families, running errands, everything becomes an opportunity to practice yoga. And lastly, in those 8 limbs of yoga that Patanjali gave, the last limb of samadhi, divine bliss, ecstasy, it reminds us that yes, we begin with the yamas and niyamas. We begin with living a virtuous, ethical, dharmic life. And we move up through all of these limbs. And we don't stop until we get to that state of samadhi, that something else, something better, something richer is there for us. Not next life, not in heaven, but right here, right now, in this moment. That bliss that comes from union, that bliss that comes from that divine connection, that bliss that comes from true yoga, from truly uniting with the self, both the self within the body as well as the self outside the body, the self in all of those around us, in every being, in every creature. Connection with the self as divine and indivine. And that is the full practice of yoga. And it's available to us whether we do the 8 limbs in order, doing them all at once, however we do. More after the
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the Mother Ganga River, flowing outside my window in Rishikesh, India, in the lap of the Himalayas. It's so wonderful to be with you all this evening. Coming back, we had a second question on yoga as well, which is, how do I choose my yogic path? I know there is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. Which personality types do these reflect? Or how do I choose one? Should you dedicate yourself to only one or practice them in some kind of ratio? The three types of yoga that our questioner asked, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga, these are the three types that are spoken about in the Indian spiritual tradition. We're not talking about different styles and lineages of asana or pranayama practice today, of which there are many hundreds, if not even thousands today, being taught all across the world. But this is the traditional, sacred Indian spiritual tradition of yoga as not just a set of physical exercises or breath exercises, but yoga as a path to true, full, complete union of the self with the divine, with the supreme, with the infinite. So there are three main paths that are spoken about. Jnana Yoga, which is the path of wisdom or knowledge. Bhakti Yoga, which is the path of love and devotion. And Karma Yoga, which is the path of service or right action. Even though these are spoken about separately, they always overlap if our yoga is full and complete. If our yoga is really union, then you cannot have only one. Each of them is just another way in. So, for example, here on the banks of Ganga, where the river Ganga flows, we have different ghats or different platforms that one can use to get into Ganga. Our platform at Parmarth Niketan is steps covered with marble. Next to us, there is another marbled ghat, but where it comes down more on a slant. Next to that, there is a dirt ghat. Upriver a bit, there are rocks, big boulders that people use to clamber down into Ganga. Does it matter which way one uses to get in? Of course not. All that matters is we get in Ganga. Whether we walk down the steps, whether we walk down in a slight inclination made of dirt, made of marble, whether we jump off a rock, doesn't matter. What matters is we get in. And it's the same thing with yoga. The goal is get in, get connected, get united. All of these paths are just different ways in. So, whichever one we begin with, if we really get in that flowing river of oneness, of unity, of truth, it's going to include the other paths. For example, let's say that I begin with a path of Jnana Yoga, a path of wisdom and knowledge. So I begin by studying about the divine, by studying about the supreme. Well, the more I learn, the more I'm going to love, the more true devotion is going to blossom within me. Otherwise, it's just an academic exercise. If I'm studying only so that I can retain facts, only so that I can feel like I'm a knowledgeable person, only so that I can use these facts to impress others or assuage myself, it's purely academic, almost useless. Not entirely useless. No knowledge could be entirely useless. And yet, in terms of that which really matters, it's almost useless. Real wisdom, real knowledge of the divine, of the supreme, of God by any name or any form, makes us love. Because the more that we learn, the more that we learn about God, the more devotion blossoms. The more devotion blossoms, the more we love. Well, then automatically the more we're going to want to serve. When you go out on a first date, maybe you go out for coffee, you start talking, you learn a little bit about each other. So you begin with a very literal, simplistic example of Gyan Yoga. Where are you from? What do you do? What are your goals, your aspirations? And the more we learn, the more we love. Not necessarily with every person we have coffee with, but certainly if the being about whom we are learning is divine, is supreme, is the creator, that which is within us, within all of creation, then naturally the more we learn, the more we love. And then, of course, the more you love, as I said, the more you want to serve. When you love someone, and it's their birthday, or even not their birthday, you want to do nice things for them. You don't have to remind yourself. You don't have to set an alarm that it's time to do good work, time to do karma yoga. You don't need a Post-it note that says do random acts of kindness. Your life becomes service. Your life becomes right action because you are living from knowledge and from love. And again, we could do it the other way. Say you start through service. You start through karma yoga. Well, as we serve, if we're really serving and we're not serving as separate. See, most of us, when we serve as separate. I'm up here serving you down there. I am the privileged one. I am the one with means. You are the one at a disadvantage. You are the impoverished. And so I'm serving you from a place of separation. But when we serve from a place of union, which karma yoga is, because remember, yoga means union. So if we're saying karma yoga, it's the action of unity, the action of that oneness, that connection. So if I'm serving you with oneness, then I'm serving you as self. And the more I serve, the more I love. If I can see in your eyes the true self, the divine, then love is going to blossom through service. nurses who have fallen in love with patients, or patients who have fallen in love with nurses or doctors. When we serve, love blossoms. And when love blossoms, then naturally we want to know more. So even if we've begun through service, it's blossomed into love, well, then we want to learn more. How many of us have spent nights awake with loved ones, new loved ones, saying, tell me all about yourself. Tell me everything. Things that never would have been interesting to us suddenly are interesting because they are about the beloved. So whether we begin with Gyan or Bhakti, Karma, they all take us into the same river of oneness, same river of true yoga.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation, brought to you from Rishikesh, India, from the banks of the flowing Mother Ganga River. Another question that came in was on intuition. What is intuition? What is the sixth sense, and how does one tap into it? Can I use the yogic system to understand and develop it? How do I know if it's really my gut feeling or I'm just making it up? Intuition. So many of us, perhaps hopefully all of us, have had the experience of knowing something that we couldn't see, hear, taste, smell, or touch. But we knew it. We knew it just as surely as that which we can see, that which we can hear, that which we can smell, that which we can taste, and that which we can touch. Science, which is a wonderful, wonderful field. It's something that I have spent many years of my life studying, and I still am fascinated by it. It's wonderful. The problem with science is, though, that it believes, or it teaches us, that only things which science can measure, weigh, see, exist. And that's how we've really been taught about our five senses. These are the ways that we can, quote unquote, objectively know something. The tragedy with that is that, yes, we can objectively know those things. And yes, there is a lot of this world that falls in the purview of science. But there's also a lot that doesn't. And just because something cannot be seen with our two eyes, heard with the membrane, the muscles, the bones that make up the ear, tasted with the taste buds on the tongue, felt the sensors on our skin, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Just like that which cannot be weighed, measured, seen under a microscope, seen with a telescope, which are the tools of science, doesn't mean those things don't exist. So, of course, intuition exists. Of course, we have not just a sixth sense, but probably many other senses. I wouldn't even say that there is only a sixth sense. I think if we all got together and talked about intuition, we would find that our intuition took so many different forms. What we need to do is recognize that we have ways of knowing, ways of perceiving that aren't just through these five senses. The minute that we accept that, we open ourselves up to all the other organs of sensation and perception. In the Indian tradition, for example, they speak very specifically about the third eye, which sits just between the other two eyes, just between the eyebrows at what is called sometimes the eyebrow center or the Agya Chakra. It's the center of the third eye. That third eye allows us to see what the other two eyes cannot. It allows us to see the truth, to see the divine. We've all had the experience of hearing the voice, feeling the presence of someone who's not in the room, perhaps someone who has passed away. But we heard them. We felt them. Just because it wasn't our tympanic membrane that vibrated to give us sound doesn't mean that we didn't hear them. There are other ways, other organs of all of these senses, of all of the possibility of perception. And so intuition is just tapping into any of the other myriad organs of sensation and perception. If we can't do it, we don't know how to live our lives. And yet it's not. It's not some special ability. It's not rocket science. Everything in the universe has been sense of knowing has been given away, of knowing its truth. A caterpillar, for example, crawls along the ground for God knows how long, happy to be a caterpillar. And then one day, it hears a voice, feels a shock. Something happens, we don't know. Something happens inside that caterpillar that says, climb the tree. And even though it's never climbed the tree, and even though it's never seen anyone come down who ever climbed that tree, maybe it watched mom, dad, uncle, aunt, everyone it knows climb the tree. No one ever came down. Maybe it thinks on some fear-based level that that tree is the caterpillar Bermuda Triangle. Nonetheless, it climbs the tree. And then it hears another voice or gets another signal that says, now go out on a branch. And then another that says, now weave yourself into this cocoon. And another that says, now be still while I take you apart. And then finally another that says, now burst forth. You can fly. It's never done it before. It's never seen another caterpillar do it, because any caterpillar that went up the tree, came down flying as a butterfly. So it has no learned knowledge. And yet, there is a knowing. There is a deep sense of knowing that comes from something within. A seed knows when to sprout. A seed never sprouts in the winter when the ground is frosted over. Because if it did, it would just die, trying to break through the hard, frosted, frozen ground. And the caterpillar never bursts forth out of the cocoon too soon. Half caterpillar, half butterfly. You never see caterpillars that were too afraid to climb the tree, to go out on the limb, to weave their cocoons. You never find cocoons still with caterpillars in them, afraid to become butterflies. So there's something, a knowing in all of creation, whether we're a caterpillar, whether we're a seed, whether we're anything in the world. No dog meows like a cat. No cat eats dog food. No cow tries to fly like a bird. No bird moves like a cow. Everything in nature knows. And they know not because there was some manual, not because they had some guidebook, not even through something necessarily with their 5 senses, but a knowing. And we have that as well. It is inconceivable that every other aspect of creation would have the ability to know where to go, what to do, how to do it. But we just have to be quiet enough to hear it. We are much like a caterpillar that spends its life bemoaning the fact that the millipede has 1,000 legs and we only have 12 legs or 16 legs, and I always get the short end of the stick. And we're so busy comparing ourselves to the millipede, so busy wondering, worrying, that we never allow ourselves climb the tree. Intuition is following the voice and becoming that butterfly. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And we will join together next Thursday for inspiration and transformation. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.